And to put these two stories into context, we have with us Lieutenant General Raj Shukla, retired, former Army commander. Thank you very much, General Shukla. Now, how does, let's start with the India-Indonesia defense dialogue. How does it strengthen regional stability, let's say, and all these new concepts of war, cyber, geopolitical threats and the like?
So, India and Indonesia are two middle powers of great consequence in the Indo-Pacific. And there is great scope for cooperation in space, cyber, electronic warfare. Your report focused on collaboration in the military-industrial complexes. So the technology transfers, supply chains, maritime domain awareness. So the list is endless. But what we can do together by way of collaboration is to strengthen deterrence in order to keep the Indo-Pacific free and open. So those would be the broad objectives. Right. But insofar as the nitty-gritty is concerned, I've personally been a participant and I've led many delegations to Indonesia. It is really a power of growing consequence in the Pacific with considerable, shall I say, agility and investments in the military space. So military to military collaborations, they enhance interoperability, understanding of each other, and they also signal deterrence in a very sophisticated way.
General Shukla, they also propose a joint defense industry committee between India and Indonesia. So how will this, sort of strengthen supply chains in defense? Let's say you talk about joint R&D, technology transfer, you've talked about naval, so submarine capability, even medicine.
So let's take R&D. Mm-hmm. So a company like BYD today spends $15 billion on R&D annually. It has 120,000 engineers in R&D. India has just launched an R&D initiative targeted at the private sector, 1 lakh crores. So that's the value of R&D. And the next point is you take a thing like chips. From sand to finished product, the process of chip making passes through 75 countries. So you can't master the entire supply chain, but countries individually can, shall I say, master parts of the supply chain. So collaboration is necessary in these modern emerging technologies like chips, space, LEO, GEO. They are, business layers, they have attributes of national security. So say Indonesia is good in the GEO space, we are good in the LEO space, we could collaborate. So there are, collaboration I think is a strategic imperative today because technologies are expanding in such a manner, the R&D investments are so huge that collaboration makes a lot of sense.
Now let's move on to the Chanakya dialogue as well, General Shukla. And, the Army Chief has warned of declining long peace and a rising global disorder. So how best should India's defense establishment look at this? I mean, is this an opportunity or a threat?
If we use the opportunity wisely, we will minimize the threats. We will strengthen deterrence. So it's both an opportunity and a threat. But you see, the larger point I'd like to make is this, as I think the Army Chief pointed out. Let me paraphrase it differently. Today, we see two geopolitical swivels. One is from economics to national security. If you take the upticks in global defense expenditures, the conflicts that are breaking out, so on and so forth. And second is that technology is driving national security like never before. And the third piece is of ideation and narration. So the Chanakya defense dialogue is useful in the sense, just like Raisina has started shaping conversations in the foreign policy space, the Chanakya defense dialogue is an attempt to shape conversations in the national security space. A country of India's strategic heft can artfully shape these conversations to strengthen deterrence. Why should national security conversations be happening in Shangri-La and not in New Delhi? I think so. Therefore, the initiative of the Indian Army and the Ministry of Defense is laudable. The ambition, scope, and impact of the dialogue has been growing year to year. This year, you see, we had the inauguration by the Honorable President. The Raksha Mantri speaks tomorrow. The Chief of Defense Staff has spoken. We have speakers from Netherlands, Sri Lanka, Maldives, Russia, Australia, South Korea, Japan, nations big and small. So
Right.
we are coming together to dialogue on challenges of national security. And in the process, if we could shape opinion, shape the broader ideation and narration, it will be, I think, very useful for the Indian military too.
Right, indeed. And, one can ask the question also about whether these dialogues actually help hasten military modernization. Because at the end of the day, that's the big thing, isn't it? Are we caught in the past or are we moving into the future? So, and how does this actually help also to, bring about socio-economic growth in our country?
See, if we strengthen, let me put it this way: India is growing; it is in Amrit Kal moving towards the Vikasit Bharat, but we need to secure our growth in our eyes. So we concurrently need to invest in the military instrument, not to warfight, but to strengthen deterrence. So let's say a symmetric deterrence of China and a combat overmatch with Pakistan. So deterrence and development are complementary. The second point that you raised is equally valuable. National security today is so complex and sophisticated that you have to ideate well. See, look at the challenge with China. You have a book coming out on China in the USA every week. That is because the ideation there is deep. In our case, we have begun that journey, but our ideation needs to deepen greatly. All these areas that you spoke of, supply chains, strategic choke points, combat prowess, the military industrial complex, these are areas of such deep expertise that you have to get your ideation right first so that the combat prowess is developed in the right direction, and then also sell your story. So smart military entities combine action, ideation, and narration. And I think the Chanakya Defense Dialogue is a step in that direction.
We leave it there. Thank you very much, Lieutenant General Raj Shukla, retired former Army commander. Thank you
Thank you
for
very much.
putting these stories into perspective for us.